So, in 2018, it was a weird time. I stopped watching anime as much as I used to. I really stopped enjoying content in general. I wasn't really doing anything besides homework and being in a relationship. Calling a girl every night. I wasn't really doing anything that I was doing for me. It was always something for somebody else, and that was taking its toll on me. And the reason it was taking its toll on me is because I have a lot of room and compassion for other people, but I've always used anime as the thing I do because I love it, the thing I do because it's me. And in 2018, it stopped being me. And I don't know why. It was probably just because of all the stress and all the things that were just, it felt like everything was on my back. It felt like I had to go and accomplish something. I had to go and do something because I hadn't really done anything up to that point. I just wanted to escape it all. I wanted to run away. I wanted to get up out of here. You know, regular kid stuff. When my life wasn't particularly bad, but for me, it was just all really stressful. And like any kid with a bunch of stress on you, you just want to get away from it. And that's when I found SSSS.Gridman. This wonderful show that not only reignited my love for anime, but it really changed how I look at mediums in general. Because I know why I watched it, but I also know how it made me feel and how I left the show. I think the reason I love anime is because as a kid growing up, I was a big Power Rangers fan. And SSSS.Gridman is a show that kind of embodies all of the things that your child, it's a show about an Ultraman series, about a tokusatsu show, about the Power Rangers, the live action, about the mediums that we loved as kids, right? And it really challenges the conceptions that we have around those mediums in the first place. When we think of Power Rangers, when we think of giant robots, when we think of Ultraman, when we think of Super Sentai, we think of a show that was made to sell you something, that was made to get you to buy a toy, or to get you to watch from week to week, right? And SSSS.Gridman, at first it feels like an empty shell of a show. It feels like there's a mystery, there's stuff going on, but it feels like there's a giant robot and there's a giant monster and they fight. But as the show progresses, there become themes that are much deeper than what you were originally expecting or what you came for. But of course the giant robots don't leave, they're still there. But the direction of the show changes. The ideas behind the show change. The message of the show that at first seemed empty morphs into something that's much more complex. And that's the beauty of SSSS.Gridman in my eyes. It's a story that on the surface should be very shallow because it's based on something that was made to sell toys. But it was made from a place of love, that place of love that all of us have, that all of us had as kids when we were growing up, just having fun, just watching these shows. Because even when those shows were made to sell us toys, when we watched those shows, they made you feel something. Because the people who made those shows, they were greenlit to make money, of course, but the people behind it, there was a message. There was a message of positivity. There was a message that you gotta keep getting up. You gotta keep standing up. And in SSSS.Gridman, it embodies those ideas and those themes and everything that comes along with that message, and it enhances those shallow messages from our past, because when we were kids, those messages were what we needed. We needed a never say die. We needed a don't give up. We needed a just keep fighting. Because we didn't know anything. And SSSS.Gridman isn't a story with themes that are that simple, of course. It kind of tackles escapism and what it means to get away from your problems, and to what extent is escapism a problem. But in the same breath, it's still a show about giant robots, you know? It's a show that was made, first and foremost, for you to have fun watching. But second of all, it was a show that was made to get the same type of messages across that you would have gotten as a kid if you were watching Power Rangers, or if you were watching Ultraman, or if you were watching Kamen Rider. Shout out to those Kamen Rider Dragon Knight kids. That's why I love Gridman. That's why I've been thinking about it a lot recently, because I think right now I've been super stressed because I don't know where I'm going. I'm in college, I don't know what to do or where I'm headed. But I know that I can't run away from reality. I know that I have to handle these things head on, straightforward. Because there's love in it. There's beauty in it. It's wonderful to enjoy the things that you enjoyed as a kid. Because those things, while we look at them as these shallow husks of shows that were made to sell toys, we often forget that the people who made those shows cared. The people who made Power Rangers cared. They had a fun time making it. Even if it was just for kids. Kids have to have something for them. Because when we were kids, we needed something to tell us it was gonna be okay. Because some of us had childhoods where our dads were out of a job, where our dads weren't even around, where people we loved were dead, where we're dying. And right now, people we love are dying, where bad things are happening. It's an awful world, but there are good things that are happening. There are people doing wonderful things. There are plenty of things to do that we have to do. And it's fine to escape, because I still use anime as an escape. I still watch anime. But what Gridman and what Ultraman and what Power Rangers were trying to tell us was that no matter what, right? It's not that you can't take a break. It's not that you can't enjoy yourself, but you also can't give up. Because there are things you have to do. There are things that we have to do. Because if we don't keep fighting, and if we don't keep moving forward, who else is? Because we're not kids anymore. I'm not a kid anymore. But that doesn't mean we have to forget what we learned as kids. Because those lessons meant something. Those experiences meant something. Gridman means something. Power Rangers meant something. We didn't just waste our time. For as much as your parents want to belittle you for the time you spent watching Pokemon, the time you spent, whatever your childhood was full of, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Ben 10. The people who made those shows wanted you to get a message out of it. And I think that's beautiful. I think in that, there's at least some meaning. Gridman is about a giant robot, plain and simple. But if you go and watch the show, you watch the giant robot fights, the giant kaiju fights, there's something to get out of it. There's a message. There's a lot. And even if you don't get anything out of it, you don't have to. I think all you really have to do is remember that once you're done watching it, you probably have something to do. You probably have clothes to fold. You probably have an application to submit. And you can't keep running away from it, so you might as well go get it done. So enjoy what you can now, but just don't forget, do what you have to do. Thank you for watching. Honestly, I've been thinking about Gridman for a while. For days even. It's getting a new show this year, and I'm really excited about it, but I just really wanted to share why it's been on my mind, why I love Power Rangers, and why I love Gridman. And at some point, I would love to do an analysis of the show and to talk about it in depth and to talk about the meanings and everything. But I think some people I'm just giving it a recommendation, right? For the people that just want to watch a giant robot show. If you watch it, you'll get something out of it. If you don't, I hope you had fun. Thank you. Like, subscribe. I've got to remember to link the lo-fi song in the doobly-doo this time. But thank you. Love you.